Hello, and welcome to my channel, Gary Has the Answers. And usually I have answers to a group of questions that are associated with each other that has something to do with pets as the Bible explains it. Today, though, is going to be more of a shotgun approach as I've gotten questions from people on various topics, all relating to animals, but all not really associated with each other. So without further ado, the first question is, do animals have a sixth sense? Now, I think we all have an opinion on that. We all think they do. This seems to be the general consensus. You hear people say it all the time. I see horses take off in the field before an earthquake happens, or cats can tell when a person's going to die before they actually die. I think that's all urban legend. There's no real scientific proof for that. At least I haven't seen any. And often they want to add a supernatural element or measure to the story about animals having a sixth sense. For instance, I grew up in Hawaii. My brother-in-law used to hunt pigs in the mountains on Oahu. He told me this story once, and I have to warn you ahead of time, it's going to be a little gross, but I warned you. And he said they were out hunting, and all of a sudden their dogs got together, 5 or 6 of their dogs, and they just stood together and growled. The hair stood up on the back of their necks, and they were growling at nothing. There was nothing in front of them. Well, one of the guys who was Hawaiian, he said, I know this old Hawaiian legend that if you take the makapiapia out of the dog's eye, the makapiapia is that goo in a dog's eye or in a human's eye. I told you it was going to be gross, okay? He said if you take that makapiapia out of the dog's eye and rub it in your own eyes, you'll be able to see what they see. And so they did it. They took it out and they rubbed it in their eyes and they looked, and behold, there was this giant ghost pig, 1,000 pounds, they thought, maybe 6 foot high, and it was getting ready to charge them. And I'm not even going to continue the story because it's nonsense and it was urban legend. Now, I admit it can appear that animals have a sixth sense. Birds sometimes seem to fly off a building before it explodes. Dogs seem to run crazy before an earthquake hits and stuff starts falling in a house. But I saw this special on TV. It wasn't Mythbusters. It was some documentary. It was about animals and sixth senses. And they took a field where there was a lot of earthquakes occurring. They set up a camera on the cattle and the horses, and they set a seismograph up. And they showed that the horses and cows ran seconds after the seismograph registered the earthquake. So there was no sixth sense there, just heightened senses. And in the same documentary, they had birds sitting on the roof, pigeons sitting on the roof of a building that was going to be demolished. And it appeared like the bird lifted off before it blew up. But in slow motion, the camera showed the building actually exploded first, and then the pigeons lifted off. So they do have heightened senses, but I don't think they have a sixth sense. Now, in my book, Cold Noses at the Pearly Gates, I mentioned that humans have sixth sense. I truly believe that. Yeah, we have the hearing and the smelling and the seeing and the touching and the tasting, but I believe we have a spiritual sixth sense. And I have dubbed it, I've used the acronym SONG. Our sense of a need for God. And I believe that all of us have it. It's factory equipment. It given to us by God in the womb. We all realize that there is a God. Yes, I know there are adolescents and adults today who are atheists. They don't believe in God. But I have never met a child that did not believe in God, a young child. I've been on a lot of continents, a lot of different countries, and all the children I've ever met believe in God. Why? Because life hasn't taken its toll on them yet. They haven't been influenced by the false beliefs of other people. They're innocent and they believe that there's a God. In Romans chapter 1, the Bible says, does not nature itself teach us that there is a God? Years ago in Papua New Guinea, maybe 5 or 6 decades ago. Today, those tribes are kind of civilized. But back then, the Karorai and the Asaro mudmen, who were headhunters, I understand, they were just primitive. They didn't like white people. They had nothing to do with civilization. Well, some missionaries decided to go there, and they snuck up on the village. I don't know how they got away with that, but they did. And as they peeled back the bushes, they were surprised to see a group of men kneeling and praying to a pig's head on a spear. Obviously, they were aware that there was an entity above them. There was a God in nature somewhere. And so people have this sixth sense, not animals. Yes, animals have heightened senses. Dogs and cats are being used to detect cancer or heart disease in people. But that's just because they have better smell and senses. It's not because they have something supernatural. It is people that have a sixth sense. And I hope that answers your question. If you disagree or you want to talk about it, if you have comments about that, please leave your comments and I'll review them and I'll try to respond to you if I can. And while you're at it, please subscribe so you don't miss the rest of these videos that I put out on this topic. The second question I get: why does my pet eat grass? That's a good question. And should I let them eat that grass? Well, I'm a veteran. I'm not a veterinarian, so this is not professional advice. But I think these are common sense questions. First of all, the grass is like a newspaper to animals. They can look at the grass, smell it, and they know who's who's been there, any newcomers. They know if another dog is in heat or if it's sick or just a myriad things that they can learn from the grass. It's kind of like the news station for us on TV. They learn about the neighborhood through the grass. So, yes, let them go out to the grass. Let them eat it. Let them smell it and do their job. Unless, of course, the grass is sprayed with some sort of a chemical, and then you don't want them doing that. But it's not just the grass they eat. There's also herbs and there's some nutrients that they get out of it. There's fiber, there's chlorophyll, there's vitamins that they get out of it. It helps them to have stronger bones, to digest their food, to rid themselves of parasites. And it's just a good thing for them to do. Take that for what it's worth. You can comment on that if you want to. And the final question I had: should I let my pet sleep in my bed? Now, that's kind of an odd question, I know. And it's very preferential. Yes, you can if you want to, and don't do it if you don't want to. But I want you to consider this. You're not just a dog or cat's owner. You're their best friend. You're the one they depend upon, the one they look for sustenance, the one they look for love, the one they look for to be protected by. They also want to protect you, and they want to be near you. So if you want them to sleep in your bed, I see no problem with it, except you'll have to probably wash your sheets and blankets a lot more often than you do. But if you don't, then at least let them sleep close by in a cage or a bed or whatever, because they do love you. They do care about you. Now, I hope these questions have helped you. They may not have been important to you, but it's good information to know. I hope to see you next time. Please don't forget to subscribe.